Hey there. We're so glad you're here. Stick around till the end. We'll share how you can be a part of the breakout.
The only one that cares about the extra 5 pounds you put on is you. The only one that cares about the pimple on your face or whatever it is you. Everybody in your life should want you in their life and should want to enjoy your presence and your photos.
Elizabeth Snyder is a portrait photographer with a unique specialty. She works primarily with women 35 years of age and up. It's a time when, for many women, myself included, getting a picture taken starts to become a deeply uncomfortable experience. And that's something Elizabeth wanted to change.
Her focus? Developing a thoughtful, step-by-step process that's about learning to see yourself differently and letting go of shame. And the results are extraordinary. Because the thing that makes Elizabeth the perfect person to help these women overcome their self-criticism and doubt are the incredible trials and tribulations she's endured on her own path to self-fulfillment.
Today, Elizabeth shares how she managed to go from walking 1.5 miles through the Buffalo winter to get food for her children to building a successful career and helping other women find their confidence.
This is a story about resilience, the importance of staying true to who you are, and using the gifts you've been given in life to lift up those around you. You're listening to The Breakout, a show about pushing back against expectations, against fear, and against that little voice telling you to stay small. I'm Dr. Carrie Ulrich.
And I'm Kelly Gunther. For over 25 years, Carrie and I have helped people make bold leaps, or just take that first, small, powerful step. On The Breakout, we show you that anyone can push back.
Because that's how we find our way forward. We're so glad you're here, Elizabeth. What do you help people break out of? And how do you do that?
I specialize in women's portraiture, which is a fancy way of saying I am very, very good at getting women comfortable in front of the camera, especially if they are the ones that hide behind their kids in pictures, are at the back of the photo group, all of that. My mission is to make women feel like they are worthy of having their photo taken. It is rare that I don't have somebody come in almost angry that they have to have their picture taken because their boss told them that they needed a headshot, that they don't leave wanting to do it again. So it's something that I'm very proud of. It's something that is very near and dear to me. And I just love what I do.
Oh, well, I know Kelly has been looking forward to and dreading this podcast interview, I'm sure, because it's Kelly's, I think, least favorite thing, Kelly Gunther, to take a photo.
It's right up there, right up there. I'm the one that will actually volunteer to take the picture for everyone else that's in it, because that's just, I'm being a service to someone, you know? So, but I can relate, and I'm looking forward to hearing about where this passion started and what kind of led you here.
More than a few years ago now, somebody very near to me passed. The first thing that we do when somebody passes is look for all the pictures so that we can make the slideshow, put up the boards, you know, like everybody enjoying their lives. This particular person did not have a recent photo within the last 20 years. It was heartbreaking. And I was a photographer before this happened too, but this is what made me shift, because it's our legacy, right? Like, it's so easy to just have a million pictures now, especially with cell phones and everything else. And it's not for you. It's for your family. It's for the people that are here when you're not. And it, in a lot of ways, is the only lasting thing that we have to remember them. And it is heartbreaking to watch somebody be so down on themselves for 20 years and not have a photo taken. It was very upsetting, and it was something that really, it made me shift. It made a lot of people shift, actually, because they realized then the only one that cares about the extra 5 pounds you put on is you. The only one that cares about the pimple on your face or whatever it is you. Everybody in your life should want you in their life and should want to enjoy your presence and your photos.
Yeah. And so what was the exact shift and how did you decide, oh, I'm going to do something different now?
Yeah, so I was targeting everybody. Like everybody was my ideal client, right? Like that's how you work when you're first in business for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I shifted into gearing everything toward women 35 and up. I shifted my ads, I shifted my topics. I made sure that I was being extremely inclusive for women who are out of their 20s, almost out of their 30s, you know, getting used to, wow, okay, I'm aging now and it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, I have all of this life experience. It's a beautiful thing. I have scars to show what I've been through. So shifting from the I'm just everybody's photographer to specializing, it was scary because I knew that I was going to lose income at first. And that was the immediate like, oh my God, how can I do this? About 30 days in, things just completely turned. Like they just completely shifted. I was charging a little more. I was re-examining where I was putting my time and effort. And the women that came in appreciated it so much more. And it was such a lightness off of me to know where I was supposed to be, to know where I was going, and to know that I was doing the right thing because people were starting to come.
How were women behaving in the photo shoot that you kind of went, oh, I want to really focus on them? Like, what was the behavior like? What were you seeing?
I had women that could not even make eye contact with themselves in a mirror. I have hair and makeup come in for the shoots, and the girls I use are fantastic. They have airbrush foundation and all the rest of the stuff that I don't know how to do. And I mean, everybody looks as good as they possibly can. Like the pictures ultimately should look like you just on a really, really good day, right?
Yeah.
And when I have them turn to face the mirror once they're finished to adjust or to do whatever, there are people that cannot look at themselves, cannot make eye contact with themselves. They zone in on the things that they hate about themselves first. And there are a lot of women out there that are so down on themselves that they don't see what everybody else sees. And that was one of the reasons that I bought something called a true mirror. I don't know if you've heard of this, but
no,
it's
what's that?
Yeah, so it's 2 mirrors and they're butted up against each other at a right angle, and it reverses the reverse of a mirror. So you're looking at yourself as other people see you. And it is amazing. So at first, of course, you see the things that you don't like, and you're so used to seeing yourself from one perspective that your brain is like, whoa, what is happening? What I love about it is that, yes, you can do it with cameras and all of that, but what your brain does when it sees you in live time in the mirror, it is thinking that it's looking at another person. So you are able to see how you emote through your own consciousness in this mirror, and your brain is conditioned to make it think that this is not you, this is somebody else, and look at how lovely this person is. And you could just see that sparkle in your own eye, like you do when you're talking to somebody. You're seeing yourself from an angle that you don't normally see yourself in. And it's very cool when people see that for the first time. It's like, it's rare that I don't get tears. It's pretty cool.
We'll get back to the interview after this quick break. You know those rules you follow every day? The ones about what you should do, who you should be, and how your life should look?
Yeah, we've lived by those too, until we broke out of them. And here's what we know. Those rules, they're not your truth. They're someone else's expectations.
So let's change the story. Come find us at abbracciagroup.com. We'll help you build a life that actually fits you. What's the difference, Elizabeth, when you used to photograph men? What was the difference you saw between men and women?
Men are so easy. So they do still have the confidence issues and that sort of thing, but it's not drilled into them from go. Like, we are bombarded by ads from the time we're born until we die of what these beauty standards are. And if you don't buy this or use that or do that, then you're not worthy. You're not pretty. So when men come in and maybe they're a little chubby or maybe they have, a mole somewhere or whatever that they don't like, typically they're fine though. I coach through posing, I coach through expression and all of those things. With men, I hardly ever have to adjust them. They just know what they're supposed to do. So it's rather funny. So even if they are nervous, they're usually I can get them in and out of here in like 20 minutes, especially if it's like the one headshot that they need. It's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
So we mentioned the interview that Kelly is not a big fan of taking the photos. I have been with her when we got our headshots done. How would you walk through the process with someone like Kelly on how to get her comfortable with taking a headshot? Yeah.
So it starts with the call. Before they even come in, I set up a call to see what it is that they need, to see what they're after, what's the goal here, and is it your choice or somebody else's? And once we get that kind of squared away, walking them through what's included, how we work, making sure they understand that we are going to make sure that they are never going to be confused by what to do with their hands or body posture or face. We coach through every single thing and we make sure that the shot is perfect before we even press the shutter. And then once they come in, and like I said, some people are almost angry that they have to be in the studio, start by, oh my gosh, I'm so excited you're here. What did you bring me? So people come in with like suitcases full of outfits, and we just kind of pare it down to, what we're doing. And usually people know what colors they're drawn to. So they're usually in a color palette already, but we do consult on that as well. And then hair and makeup, and they're pampered and they feel good and they're relaxed. And then we start talking about, okay, so what are you most nervous about? What's your vision for the end goal here? And then I start talking to them about, like, what drove you to this profession? I'm fascinated by how people get into the kind of work that they get into. It's always a good story. And it's always like, okay, so like, what did you always want to do? What was the answer to that question in kindergarten? What do you want to be when you grow up? And, sometimes it'll be, oh, I thought I was going to be a firefighter or astronaut or whatever it was. But you always kind of hang on to that. So like if you wanted to be a rock star, you're probably singing out loud in the car to every song that comes on. Astronauts are probably looking at the stars every time they go outside at night. You don't lose that fascination. And at some point, somebody told you no, that you don't deserve or can't do it, or it's too hard or whatever, and you believed them. And it's sad, but it's also, it doesn't have to be completely out of your life. And that conversation alone is something that really gets them thinking about themselves, thinking about their goals, thinking about what they want, and starting to think about other things besides them having their picture taken. And the results are proof. I guarantee everything. And if they're not happy for whatever reason, we reshoot, we refund, we make sure that you're happy in the end. And I've never had to reshoot.
Like the amount of trust I have for her based on what she said, the process that she goes through, it's very personal to her. This period of finding and taking someone's photo, it's a very personal thing. She would be someone I would be grateful to have take my picture because I am very, as we all well know, not thrilled about the idea of taking a picture, but she creates an environment and a safe space in which you feel like she really knows you. And she knows that there's already this sort of wall she's not looking for it to be completely broken, but she's just looking for you to create an energy in a space so that she can find the best version of you in that photo.
Yeah. And I love that she has that true mirror. And it's just it's a different perspective to look at yourself. And that's what we talk about so much, Kelly, when we coach people and when we're trying to help leaders or team members of what's someone else's perspective or what's your brand and it's really hard for people to do because they're like, I don't know. I'm sure they all think I'm not good. And then you realize, no, that's not true. And to actually look at yourself as someone else sees you and not in the mirror when you immediately see the wrinkle or the droopy eyelid or whatever. That is an amazing service that she helps people with, is having a different perspective on you. Elizabeth, your life hasn't been a bed of roses, so you know quite a bit about building confidence and persevering and resilience. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of how your career evolved and some of the hard times you went through?
Well, I'm dyslexic, I'm ADHD, I'm actually ADHD. I have all kinds of things going on. So school was not easy for me at all. I exhausted all of the photography art classes that I could take by the time I was a sophomore. And then junior, senior year, we're offered this opportunity to go to a trade school if we want to. So I chose cosmetology because ultimately I wanted to know how to do hair and makeup on a photo shoot. I thought it would give me kind of a more well-rounded thing out of whatever the trade school was offering. So that was going to be the closest to what I could learn.
Mm-hmm.
Once I graduated high school, I found myself homeless. My parents got divorced. My mom bought a house that was for her and my brothers, did not have a room for me. I had to work 3 jobs. I had to figure it out and let go of some of the things that, were not going to make me immediate money. Yes, I had to figure this all out.
Right.
I ended up moving in with my boyfriend, who I ended up marrying like a couple of years later, very young. And then we got divorced because, I was 21. I had 2 kids, and I found myself in a position again where the bank account was emptied. The car was taken. My food stamp application got lost because the woman that had my case went on medical leave and didn't give it to anybody.
Oh my God.
So there was a whole bunch of stuff that happened all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And it was February. So I live in Buffalo. It's very snowy and very disgustingly cold here sometimes. Yeah. So nobody shovels their sidewalk. So instead of the stroller, I was dragging a sled about 1.5 miles up the road to the food bank, which, thank God, I was in an area with a food bank. I had to make sure that we're getting there and whatever we grab is like non-perishable, but also light because I have to drag it all the way back. And it was the turning point. It was, oh my God, I am not living like this. This is insane.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
And making that decision of this is my rock bottom and I'm never going to be here again.
Yep.
Helped motivate me to, okay, 3 jobs for now is fine. I can do this. I let go of a whole bunch of things that made me happy, but I was turning it around and I wanted to make sure that my kids had a much better childhood than I had, and wanted to make sure that I could provide for them, and whether or not their father was helping or whatever, I wanted to make sure that they had stability. So I ended up working at a bank, and a friend of mine about a year in was like, you just don't seem happy. I'm like, yeah. I work in collections. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not super happy. Yeah. He's like, all right, so time, money, age, circumstance. Like, if none of that mattered, what would you be doing? And of course, my knee-jerk reaction was photography.
Yeah.
He pointed me in the direction of a contest that was being run. That was a camera, Adobe for a year, and a laptop. And I ended up winning. Yeah. So it was meant to be. It was absolutely meant to be. Within that year, I was able to quit my job at the bank because I was making more money doing photography.
Wow.
And when you're doing what you are supposed to be doing, and the way you know that is because you're happy.
Yeah.
Everything falls into place. Everything just gets you there. And you are more open to seeing the opportunities and saying yes, rather than saying, no, this is scary.
The origin of the story of where it came from, and then how her life sort of took these twists and turns to get her to this place where she is now a photographer. I think she's incredibly resilient. I mean, to wind up in a situation where you're married, you have 2 young kids, the government has dropped the ball when it comes to food stamps, and you're literally trudging out in winter, sidewalks not plowed, in a Buffalo winter, no less, 1.5 miles, using that time to really think about, where do I want my life to be, and is this it? And for her to say, ultimately, no, this is not what I want for myself. I mean, I could visually see it, what she was going through, and it takes someone very strong to be able to pick themselves up and reinvent themselves in a way that allows for them to do what they really love to do in life. Taking a bet on a contest and winning just shows how much that really was her calling, because she put everything into it.
She mentions confidence, and that confidence, you just need a little spark of it in order to be brave and do something different. And if a photo gets you there, if you saying this is enough and I need to change gets you there, you need something, and then you start to examine yourself and you realize, I think I can do it. And so that confidence is so important. And it is pretty cool to see a good picture of yourself and go, damn, I look good. I always feel bad, Elizabeth. We try to do our photos every 5 years because we didn't want to be the people where you met them and you're like, oh, that photo's from 20 years ago. Oh my, you don't look like that anymore. So Kelly and I made ourselves a promise that we would do it every 5 years so we could kind of keep fresh. And because I know Kelly doesn't like it, I always feel bad when I'm like, hey, Kel, guess what time it is?
I hate that it's such a trauma point for you. I'm so sorry.
A lot of it is self-inflicted. Let's be clear. Like, no one ever said you're ugly or you have, it's more just me not being comfortable looking at myself. But I think this is where, when you are able to do like a deeper diagnosis of where's this person coming from, what's their backstory, you can relate to them, just as you described your story to us, which is incredibly poignant. And I can't even imagine, but to reach that point in your life where you're like, I am not doing this a minute longer. And then Kismet, you have this person at work who asks you this amazing question, and then you win a contest on top of it. It's like, what a confidence boost that must have been for you.
It was like the universe telling me, just stop doing what you're doing. Go back to what you're supposed to be doing. I was very, very lucky too at a young age. My half aunt is 8 years older than me. She's not much older than me. And when she was 16, her grandfather retired from his photojournalist job and gave her all of the equipment. So she set up a modest studio and darkroom in the attic. She had the cameras, she had the lights, everything else. And she had me help from ground up. So because I was, a kid and free labor and whatever, but I was also helping her when she was shooting. And when we worked in the darkroom and I saw a picture appear on a blank sheet of paper where there was nothing before, it was like magic. It was like real magic. And I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked. So I was very, very lucky to know at such a young age that that is what I want to do. That is what I'm supposed to be doing. There's also, I'm a white woman. So there's that privilege too with how I got out of my circumstance. It's a lot easier for me to get out of it than people of color and lower economic status and all of that. So it was easier, but I would not change a thing. It's how I got to where I am. It's how I got to a place of service and out of that victim mentality, because for a long time, it's like, why is this all happening to me? But it did help me reflect a little better on my own choices, on my own decisions. And it was something that needed to happen.
A lot of the difficult times that you faced have led you to this coaching side of your business. So tell us a little bit about the approach that you take in terms of guiding and leading someone who's decided to work with you and have you be their coach?
So for this kind of beginner coaching, it's digging deep into what makes you happy, why aren't you doing it, and how you can incorporate it into your life. Because when women have access to the creative things that make them who they are, they want to share it with everybody. They just have this shine and they bring everybody into that light with them because they are so excited about what they're doing. So we have to we have to ask those questions of what's your earliest memory of what did you want to do when you were a grown up? What got you to where you are now? What can we do to make this something that can be incorporated into your life, even a little bit once a week to start? My 10-year plan is a nonprofit that does exactly this. So Niagara Falls was very kind to me when I was going through the things that I was going through. And I want to give back to that community by having a nonprofit that teaches women in that community any creative art that they want to learn. Painting, writing, cooking, whatever it is. I want childcare while they're there for the class. I want laundry facilities and a food bank because it is kind of a food desert in the inner city for sure. I think it is so important for women in those situations, the single moms, the people who just can't find a way out. I want them to feel like they are still worthy of having their own time and learning something that makes them so happy.
And providing them the time and space to do that so that they can really take that time that they're there to really explore their own curiosity about a certain discipline or creative force they maybe never even thought about, because that might be the only thing that makes them happy in the course of their day, which is incredibly humbling to think about. Why do women struggle to find their purpose and what that purpose within themselves looks like?
So I can't speak for younger women, only because as a elder millennial, someone who's in that like pocket generation between Gen X and millennial, our lives were very different. We didn't have internet. We didn't have cameras everywhere. We didn't have like all of these things. So women who are like my age, maybe a little younger to much older, have this frame of reference of we watched TV, we watched commercials, we saw Victoria's Secret ads, we saw catalogs with all these beautiful models. So we are bombarded with, we are not worthy. And I know our mothers did the best they could for the most part, but they too. Why aren't you shaving your legs? Why aren't you washing your face? Why aren't you doing your hair? And we have these ideals that other women put on us, that companies put on us. Public school educations don't help either. They tend to tell you, you have to go to college, you have to get this certain degree, and you have to be good at it and just dig in and do it and you'll be fine. And that is not how it turned out for most of us. We've lived through how many recessions in our lifetimes? I think 3 or 4 at this point. And no, you can't just go to a company and work for 20 years and get a pension and be okay. That's not how it works anymore. So, we were told no for so long. Like, what do you want to paint for? What do you want to play a trombone for? Why are you doing this? You're not ever going to make money at it. And there's no point, all the things that were said to me. And it takes somebody very stubborn and very sure of themselves to follow through after being told no by so many adults and so many people that you look up to and who should know better. And most of us didn't get there. It's very sad, but we're adults now and we can do what we want.
It's ironic because we just wrote a book called Whatever the Hell You Want. And it really is just that very thing, Elizabeth. So props to you for what an amazing segue, but it's not about us, it's about you. And you also have a book out now. It's called Unbroken, Finding Your Purpose Beyond Trauma. What can you tell us about it?
Yes. So my book is about finding your purpose. It is about digging in. It's the workshop. It is all of it in a book. It's showing you what questions to be asking yourself, how to get the right answers, how to know and when to trust your intuition. And it's funny because everybody kind of has this idea of your purpose is that's what you need to do 100% of your time and all of that. And that is just not true. It is anything you want it to be, to be honest. Anything that makes you happy is your purpose, and it can change and it can morph into something else. And it can be as much or as little as you want it in your life, as long as it's making you happy every time you do it. And it's showing people how to find that and how to say yes to it and not be afraid of it, and to turn off that you're not good enough instinct that we all have in our head. Just don't take life too seriously. It's all working out for you. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be messy. It can be chaos. And you can still have a happy, awesome life.
Amazing. So, last question for you, Elizabeth. You have 1 minute with someone who's stuck. They want to break out. What would you tell them?
In 1 minute, what are you afraid of? Because it's fear. It's always fear.
It's always fear. It's
Yep.
always fear. Love that.
You know, the things going on in our heads is not really what's going to happen. You know, as somebody who puts their foot in their mouth a lot, I'm usually the only one that cares.
Right?
You know?
So true.
So it's that I have that fear of being in, a networking situation and in a group of people. But the worst thing that happens is never anything that's going to be life or death. So it's silly to worry.
Right. Well, Elizabeth, you're just very brave and courageous for sharing your story and continued success in your photography business, your coaching business, and you're on your health journey as well. So we're just so grateful to know you, and we'll be following you for sure.
Thank you so much. This was such an honor. I really appreciate it. You guys were awesome.
Oh, as are you.
Back at you. That was photographer and perspective shifter Elizabeth Snyder. And this is The Breakout. If you love the show, do us a favor. Follow, rate, review. All the podcast things.
Or better yet, share an episode with someone who needs a nudge. It helps The Breakout grow, and it just might help your friend too. I'm Kelly Gunther.
And I'm Dr. Carrie Ulrich. Thank you so much for listening. See you soon.
We want to hear about your breakout story. When did you push back, speak up, or take a step that felt terrifying?
Record a short voice note, 30 seconds or less, telling us what you did and why it mattered. Send it to us at hello@abrachigroup.com. That's hello@abrachigroup, ABBRACCIGROUP.com. We can't wait to share your story on the podcast.